meetup. You guys excited? Yeah! Okay. Okay. More of that. Okay? None of that. I don't want to be here. Why are you here? This is beautiful. Okay, great. So let's just give it a open. This is actually our 29th Toronto LinkedIn local meetup. 29. That is crazy. So today we're going to talk about community building, social impact, and sometimes the feedback is, hey guys, Bobby, can we do more networking? So we started with 45 minutes of networking, and everyone came here early, like on time, and they're like, they just sat down, and I was like, what do we do? We're here. Like, no, you got to network. People want more time to network, to talk to each other, and so that's really important. So we're live streaming as well on the DYPB page for Facebook and LinkedIn. So that's kind of cool. And of course, let's thanks to our sponsors. So my company called DYPB, the Social Across the Brand. CLB Club also hosted the Scottish Branding Club. And then 111 is a space. TC Business Solutions is one of our sponsors. So it's a good group company. So is the Lee Michelle Changemaker sophomore. And probably also partnered with Ray Allen. So, okay, we have an accident. Careful, guys. Okay? That's what happens when you play with the stuff. Like okay. So I just want to share a bit about the history here. So this is 2017, the first Toronto LinkedIn local meetup. My friend Swish Goswami, who is a very famous influencer on LinkedIn, 100,000 followers, him and 3 other people from around the world started these LinkedIn local events. It's kind of like TED and then TEDx local. So they said, look, LinkedIn is an online networking platform. Let's take that platform and do it live in person at places around the world. So it started one in like London, England. They did the Toronto one. They did one, I think, in Australia, and I forget what the 4th one was. But it started a trend. Pretty soon there was about 120 of these events around the world. He asked me to speak at the first one. Yeah, you were there too, the first one. This is a DMZ, right? Are you in? Yeah, you're in picture number 2. And then the second one, he's like, hey Bob, you want to help organize? I'm like, yeah, sure, I love this. And by the 5th or 6th one, I was like kind of running a lot of the show. So I love doing it. You know, we've been in beautiful spaces around the city, and we were at CSI at one point. We've had different speakers. It's been a really amazing time. There's topics like women breaking barriers, work on your finances, how to network, how to tell stories, how to leverage interview skills, whether it's for people in their career or people who are in their small business or people just trying to become better leaders. That's what we produce. Mm-hmm. And then one of the things we did that became a huge hit was our open mic scenario. We said, look, we'll have an open mic, everyone can come up and share what you want. Share something you're struggling with, share something you need help with, pitch your business, ask for funding, ask for a job, maybe share a nugget. And what happened was, even though we gave people 60 seconds, but we had some really beautiful things that people shared, and it became a really good tradition of LinkedIn local. And of course, we always do the group shot. So at the end of this, we will have a group shot. We'd love to have, although if someone that has a picture, a camera here, just take a picture of this crowd. And of course, we're in the space too. And this was the last one we did before the pandemic. This was February of 2010, and then everything fell apart. And that was pretty rough. And then we did a couple of virtual LinkedIn locals. Everyone hated them. The speakers hated them. I hated them. The attendees did not like them. So I apologize for being part of those. But we did 2, and we stopped. We basically stopped doing them for like 2 years. Eventually, and I know my wonderful team, one of them here today from before, we disbanded and tried to do our own thing. But then we decided to start up again. So start up at Zero, the Zero software accounting place downtown, and we started doing the company again. And we started doing more. And then we did things around this space, did some more, and then did more, and it became great. So if you're watching this, we encourage you to take photos, take videos, take snippets. Please, tag everybody. So hashtag LinkedIn logo, hashtag LinkedIn video. You can, you're right. It is. So at DYPBTO, you can tag them. You can also tag DJ on Bob. You can tag anyone else here. Feel free to do that. Okay. You can take a picture of that. You can start tagging. Love the tags. You can tag me on everything. I'm everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Vine. No Vine. No. And then, I guess the question that who is BYPB? So BYPB started, I guess, many years ago. But basically, we ran the local meetups. We did workshops. We ran 6 conferences, 10 events, workshops. The idea was because about personal branding. I want to talk a bit about that. So personal branding is something I'm very passionate about. It's something I became an expert in about 10, 15 years ago, and I still talk about today because it's still relevant. Every single one of us feels lost or stuck or fulfilled sometimes. Every single one of us needs focus and clarity and purpose and direction or redirection or repurpose or new clarity. Because I've been there myself. I've had 4 careers. And I was one of those people that was like a jack of all trades, master of none. You know, like in engineering, and brand marketing, and I could never really fit in anymore. So then I finally did the deep dive in my personal brand. I dove into my values, my skills, my aptitudes. I did a bunch of surveys, interviews with people, and they said, Bobby, you're good at, and they mentioned things I was good at, people, nurturing, presentation, influence. So I decided to become a motivational speaker. That's what I did. And that was almost 20 years ago. And since that time, since I found my purpose, since I found my clarity, I've done 1,000 keynotes across 4 continents over the last 20 years, and 5 TEDx talks. And it's been like one of the greatest things in my life to be able to go there and inspire people. So for me now, I use events because it needs a way for me to give back, to support new leaders, new entrepreneurs, new business owners, whatever you need to do. And so the reason why personal brand is so important is because it gives you focus, right? So focus, clarity, direction, purpose, where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do, what makes sense. Number 2, it gives you alignment with your values, more meaning, more passion, fulfillment. And if you have more focus and you have more alignment, that's when you get impact, achievement, success, story, legacy. That's what a lot of us want. We all want some sort of story and legacy. We all want to make that impact, right? And it comes in 3 ways. Discover, design, deliver your personal brand. Discover, which means dive into your personal brand to understand exactly what that is. Then design the brand you want for your life, design the life you want, and then go out there and deliver that brand out there. And that's how you are able to have that focus, that clarity. Okay? This is what I've learned in 20 years of speaking and coaching and all that. And I even created a model. Well, actually, my team created a model. But what's great about this is that but most people are in the design phase. You're constantly working on your resume, your logo, your website, your LinkedIn profile, your strategy, working on PowerPoints and pitches and all that kind of stuff. But what we don't do, we don't take the time to really dive deep into discover. You have to commit the process, dive deep into the values, do the homework, get feedback from people. A lot of people don't do feedback. Why? Because they're afraid people are going to say bad things about them. But you need to know. I need to know if Bobby's always late, or if Bobby's obnoxious, or if Bobby is whatever. I need to know these things in order for me to correct the situation, try to be a better person. And then when you do the deep discovery and you then design something amazing along with your brand, then when you deliver it, it's way more effective. What happens is people will design a personal brand based on their own kind of intuition. Maybe they talk to a couple friends, maybe they've got one coach, and they're about 65% aligned. But what happens is when they launch a career growth strategy that's not only 65% aligned, 2 years later, they're unhappy. If they launch a business growth strategy 18 months later, it's not getting the results they want. If they launch a digital marketing or social media strategy, 6 months later, they're not getting the results they want. That's why it's so important to invest in personal branding. So that's my pitch on personal branding. I just want to make sure I share that. The agenda for today. So we have the networking piece, and there's networking at the end as well. So you're going to do a talk to each other and stuff. We have my panel, which is great. I'm kind of excited about that because these are people I've known for a long time. And then we'll have an open mic. An open mic is basically you come up here and pitch whatever you want, right? Maybe some mic, but you can hear me, right?
Sure.
Hopefully people on the camera can hear me. So open mic basically invite people to come up and just share, share a nugget, share something you help with, something they're challenged with, share and you're in charge of the camera, so you can fix that. If someone goes on the camera.
If anybody's making comments, I can't see if there's any.
No, ignore the comments. Make your reader better. So, so you come up on, you can say, hey, here's a nugget I want to share. Here's my pitch for my business or brand. I need funding. I'm looking for a job. Here's my tip. 60 seconds. Okay, first come, first serve. So people will typically line up here and then you'll come up. That's the open mic session. Okay, and then of course some more networking. And then of course we close the thoughts. I'll invite you to join our team. I mean, this is all run by volunteers, namely me, but also we have other people too. And typically before the pandemic, we had a team of volunteers. To be honest, we're struggling to have, I guess, a consistent group of people that are helping run the show. And so, you know, I'm not even sure if this is the last one we want to let us see what happens, but this is, you know, right now we're booked here, but then the fall we're still trying to figure it out. So we typically do 5 per year: September, November, February, May, and July. That's usually when we do them. We pick different topics, we pick different speakers. But let's get to the panel. So what's great about the panel is I've worked with them for a long time. So Lee Mitchell I've known for a long time. She's run a lot of things. I mean, there's the women's group, the B Collective, the Change Maker. Like, you have a lot of great things you're doing. You were at one of the earliest LinkedIn local events we did back at CSI. I don't know whether that was our second or third one, but I remember that one. And then Daniel is also someone I've known for a long time. I'm trying to remember where we met, but I think we met before the LinkedIn locals. Yeah, we did the conference. Yeah. So the DYCD, the Stormcross Brand Conference, we did that for 5 years, and Daniel was one of the main guys helping us with the digital marketing and setting this thing up for it. We did that for 5 years from 2013 to 2017 or 18. And then we started doing more of these other smaller events. But you know, I've known him for a long time. He's a very passionate guy. I don't say I've seen him grow up, you know, like, but you know, I've seen him. But I remember him being, oh, you were part of the Connection too. Holy cow, that was a long time ago. So yeah, I met him when he was like in his young 20s. And now, if you look at this guy, he's a superstar. So I'm very happy to have these two people here to talk about community building and social impact. So let's get to that conversation. Why don't you guys two come on up here? Give me a big hand, please. Thank you. So, I guess that we check. Okay. So, all right. So first off, thanks for being here, guys. So, actually, the first question I want to get into is a bit about your story. So let's do more of that. I mean, one part is, tell us a bit about your story, and then also tell us a bit about how you got, got involved with community and social impact. So I'll start with you, Lee, and then we'll go to me.
Yeah, thank you. So I have worked in social impact, nonprofit, and government marketing for over 25 years. I'm really dating myself. I look really young. And I started a business about 15 years ago called Women in Biz Network. That was my first business, and Bob's not joking, I have had a few brands along the way. And I really found my wings when I became an entrepreneur. I don't know where my courage came from because I was a fairly risk-averse person up until then. But that has led me to work with some incredible social impact organizations. I've done lots of consulting. I've run conferences across Canada. And I have built my own personal brand and have been very much inspired by all of the tips and tricks and thought leadership from Bobby. And then along the way, I actually met Daniel, and Daniel came and spoke at my event at the Canadian Independent CFIB, Canadian Independent Business. I'm probably missing a letter, but yes, Federation, that's the one. And what did you talk about then? I can't even remember.
Probably something to do with branding or social media.
Yes, I think it was social media. Yeah, and I just had the pleasure of getting to know both these gentlemen, and I've met, so one really quick thing to mention is I attended your very first conference, And this woman came up to me and she said, I've been told that I need to meet you because you're my doppelganger, Carol Schulte.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it was true. For a while, Facebook would select a photo of her and think it was me. And I met her, and she's become one of my best friends. So I've met like best friends, literally best friends from the events that I hosted as well as events that Bobby's hosted. So pretty lucky that way. So that's me in a nutshell.
Maybe one of your best friends is in the back row, you have no idea.
Yes.
All right, Daniel, go ahead.
All right. So I don't know exactly where to start, but you've heard a little bit about my story from how we connected. Obviously, I'm a marketing person, if you've gotten that. I designed this poster many, many years ago, so the banner's still standing. So my background is in design. I went to OCAD for graphic design and also in nonprofits. I started a nonprofit back when I was in high school. And I've continued to kind of keep those two worlds of marketing and creative and social impact and community kind of in parallel the whole way through. So most recently, I started a training company called Good Growth, and I focus on training and consulting with nonprofits, social purpose organizations, and governments. And then I have my marketing practice, which is basically brand and content strategy. And I also support with some personal brands as well. But to get to that point, I ran an agency called Now Creative Group. That's I was running at the time when I met my co-panelists here. I ran that, and that was I learned a lot about community building through that agency. It was I saw it as a platform. We sponsored events, we co-hosted events in our own studio space. We helped people launch their own personal brands and their own startups through the agency. And kind of over time built a community of people that worked with us and a great network through that. During the pandemic, I actually merged with another agency, brought on 3 partners, and just December, at the end of last year, I actually exited from that agency. So about 11 years in, I'm now out of the agency space and focusing on the things I mentioned, plus I'm also teaching as well. There you go.
Awesome, okay. And, I already told you a bit about my background, but I mean, so we'll get to the first question. So the first question is, I was going to tell you a story, I'll tell you a story later, but it's a question. So let's start with your why, right? I mean, so, what personally drives you to, do the work around social impact in your building, okay?
I would say for me, it stems back to my childhood where, I always saw my parents, we would drop off food, go on a Thanksgiving with family, stuff like that. These little things that we would do at school to fundraise and to support community. Some of the values that were instilled with me led me to launching my own nonprofit organization when I was in high school, in grade 10. And at that point, of course, I didn't have the whole personal branding thing figured out yet, but that was a big part of my story because I was able to learn what it takes in terms of involving the community, clearly communicating your message, connecting with a cause and helping to inform people about issues that matter. And so I launched this as a youth basically. It was in grade 10. And this was back in 2006, I think. And formally incorporated it, learned that whole process. So for me, social impact has always been part of what I do. And I've used it as a way to take a very collaborative approach, partnering with other causes, partnering with other youth that want to do projects themselves, faith communities, school communities, and have since helped many other youth start their own organizations. So for me, it's about kind of passing the torch and inspiring more people to create change. And so now Access, we have one annual initiative that we do, which is the Bright Ideas Pitch. And with the Bright Ideas Pitch, we fund 3 to 5 other youth-led initiatives, and they go out into the world and do their own thing. So it's very close to what I do, and of course today the clients I like to work with and collaborate with also have a social impact that I like to be aligned with them as well.
I was going to say for me, like obviously your parents, your friends, like all the things I did in high school and university, I was part of Junior Achievement, which is like this program for high school kids to learn how to run a business, and then I did Shad Valley, which is a program for high school youth. And ironically, my son is at Chad Carleton right now, full circle, like 30 years later. It's pretty cool. So I'm excited for him. But I think the first time I started thinking about community building was actually I ran a nonprofit musical theater company for youth. And the goal was to teach young people how to produce and direct musicals, because I'd done it all through high school, university. So I came and started working in Toronto. I was like, oh, let me start this group. And I started realizing it's a lot of fun. And the part when I realized this is really amazing is one, I also often would perform in the shows too. But one day I said, listen, I want to take a day off. Can someone take my role? They perform. And I sat and watched the theater, and I watched the orchestra, who were all members of our community. I watched the people on stage, the cast of 30. I watched the audience, like 400 people, laughing, crying, having a great time. I was like, wow, we created this? That is so cool. And so that's kind of where I started really thinking about community and giving back and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so for me, I started out my career in recreation, so community and helping youth has always been something that has been near and dear to me. Then when I had my second child, I started the business, and I wanted to run a women's organization as a social enterprise, meaning that it's for profit, but we reinvest into initiatives that are very much geared towards helping everyone. Like there are some women's organizations that are geared towards you have to make this much money before you can access our network, and I wanted to be the everyday person's network for women. So we started a mentorship program. We mentored over 2,000 women. There was, other than a small nominal membership fee, that 6-month to 1-year program was at no cost, and we got it sponsored. So I tried to build social impact through partnering with different organizations and national brands. So I did that until the pandemic. And then I went away on a trip to Costa Rica with an organization called You Go Travel for Change, and discovered through that program that I had a passion for teaching and children. And it's not surprising, because as a kid, I was the person that would make my friends play school with me, and I was always the teacher. Actually, I have a few students that are here today too, or were students. I teach it, so that led me to start volunteering and in university classrooms to get some experience. And during the pandemic, I got my opportunity to teach. So I started teaching at University of Guelph Humber in the Media Studies program. And then I did a project, an HR project, an inclusive hiring practices project that led me to do some work with York. And I have been teaching at York for 3 years, international students. And so that has led me to really want to be an advocate around mental health, because, as I'm sure there's probably some newcomers in the room. Any newcomers? Here we go, look at that. Yeah, exactly. I've really tried to study and understand, what that process is like coming to a new country. I have so much appreciation for the resiliency and the courage that it takes to do that. So I feel like everybody's led to do things that are part of their greater purpose. And so that led me to teaching, which led me to work with international students. And this past year, I started an organization called the Changemaker Collective. We have a podcast and a leadership training program called the Future Ready Leader. And we're actually hosting an event in James Gardens. And we have a certified psychotherapist who's here in the front. Do you want to give it a say? This is so cool. She actually does therapy in parks. So instead of, doing it over Zoom or whatever, she actually meets up with people and does therapy on foot. And she's also a certified forest therapy practitioner. So we're putting on this incredible leadership day for those that are leaders and who are going through transitions. And we'll talk about personal brand, and who's going to be a part of it, and I am recruiting Bobby. You just don't know me yet.
And I mean, I love that it's secondary therapy because I got a lot of issues. So, I need to vent. Look, a big part of this is the Linton Local Toronto Meetup is also community, right? And I think it's important to understand why community matters. So that's kind of my next question. You know, like I'm actually part of multiple communities. I also run my own communities, and so I guess the question, and I think you should all be part of some sort of community. Because in the early days of my being an entrepreneur, you used to try and get a job, but I didn't have community. Like I moved to Toronto, didn't know anybody. I needed to find community. I found it through theater, right, musical theater. And then when I started my own business, I was very lonely. Like I was lonely. I was, you know, downtown and didn't know anybody. Okay, how do I need to find community? And community became really helpful. So I kind of want to ask you guys, you know, talk a bit about why community is so important, and you know how you leverage or build a community. And I'll start with you, Daniel.
I think for me, community is something that, like you said, when you're starting something on your own, you feel like you could be isolated, but there are hundreds, if not thousands of other people that are in the same boat as you, just somewhere else. And now, of course, we have so many opportunities to connect in person and online with people that we would have never otherwise run into or met. I think the most powerful forms of community are the ones that you don't necessarily have to see. They actually just come to you, right? Or you get an invite, or you run into someone and you realize you have some things in common, which is really what community is. What I think what's important today about community is that the world is continuously becoming more and more divided, or at least it looks like that on social media or in the news. It doesn't mean it actually is, though. And so by having community, we can still move important issues forward, things we care about, things we believe in a safe space. And I think that's really important, not just in business or in school, but in social impact. One thing that's, I think, the nonprofit or the social good space could really improve is, building community among different causes and similar organizations who are all kind of fighting for the same things. You could argue that that could be the case for educational institutions, for religious organizations. A lot of times we actually have these shared values, but there's walls and there's barriers there. And community is just a safe space to kind of bring those people together to work towards a common vision.
Love that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think shared values is really important. And it's funny, like I think of myself as an ethical person who's in touch with her emotions and whatnot, but I don't think I completely understood what my professional values were and how they showed up when working in different companies. And there's a huge difference in cultures amongst, a variety of different companies and different types of, or the structure of companies and whatnot. But those that don't have well-defined values, it's really hard to feel a sense of belonging in those companies. And so I really got in touch with my values. And believe it or not, building relationships is the number one. And then I think I'm sort of joking because I think I'm known for being pretty friendly and warm and inviting to people. I love to connect people. So for me, community building is about bringing people together with a shared purpose and common values.
Yeah,
And it does help with isolation. Yeah, it's really important for mental health.
Yeah, and I think for me, the reason why community is so important is because we're not alone, and we have similar challenges, goals, fears, hopes, and dreams, and dark days like everybody else. And so finding people where you can talk about these things with and be in a safe place and all that kind of stuff, I'm all for it. I mean, we did another event, like the previous one in May, and we had some really global stories. I'm a big believer in global storytelling and sharing my struggles with parenting or entrepreneurship or body image or weight gain or diabetes. And I talk about those things because I think it's important to realize someone says, hey, I feel the same way, and I'm glad you talk about it. So I'm just big on that. So for me, that's why community is so great, because you need a place to crowd source, to be safe, to be included, to talk shop with folks and have those conversations. And then this kind of drives the next question around social impact. So I kind of want to understand, like, from social impact, what does that really mean to you guys? How can professionals integrate into the work, even if they're not even in the nonprofit sector? Start with you.
Yeah, great question. And I struggled with that myself. So one of the reasons why I gravitated towards social impact was when I was putting on conferences and dealing with sponsors and trying to recruit new sponsors, it became like in my humble opinion, a popularity contest. And it really started to make me feel like my value and who I am as a person was directly related to how many bums I had in seats, how many sponsors that I had. That whole, you're only as good as your last event. And that really started to impact my mental health. And I went through a fairly significant depression and was going to quit and just abandon everything. But I got involved with a company, a charity called Abused Hurts. And I started mentoring the women that were in shelters to help them with preparing for job interviews. And they get to go into this big warehouse and pick out clothes, and we help them with interview skills and preparation that way. And so that was a big aha moment for me, that I didn't have to necessarily be in the nonprofit space. I could practice micro-giving. I could look for partnerships, ways to give back, to start my own programs. Like I mentioned, developing a significant mentorship program that matched women with mentors for several years. So I think anybody can do even something small, like even just offering to help someone who's in need, and actually following up and doing the thing you said you're going to do. I think that's sometimes our biggest downfall, is that we offer to do things and then we don't actually follow through. So I think that that's something that I've really taken away, is that anyone can do this work. It's just a matter of commitment and tenacity and sticking with it.
I think for me, defining social impact, is that the question? Yeah. It's I look at it more so as, there's structures and systems that are here for us. We're in them. We're, whether it's government, whether it's education system, the systems that are there are working for some people, not working for a lot of people, because they're designed to serve the average person, but no one is actually the average person. Everyone's on one side of the average person, right? To the extremes. And social impact is a way, I look at it as social justice, right? It's a way to allow people to have more opportunities, more access, and putting people in, allowing people to feel empowered, essentially, and living their potential. That can take many, many forms, right? There's all kinds of different causes, initiatives. There's the what is it? The SDGs, SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. Those. Each of those are all different causes and issues that we should care about, right? Education being one of them, for example. And social impact is just a way that we can live that out. Now, all of us, what I love about social impact is it's not necessarily philanthropy, right? It's not charity. It's not just about donating. It's about leaving an impact in any way that we can. It could be with our ideas. It could be with connections. It could be communities. It could be informing people, right? And so for me, it's just a very open way to make an impact, or to do good.
Yeah, and I think for me, social impact, I'm going to talk about, Danny talked about it, there's a lot of division and a lot of social injustice in the world, and so for me, my primary way, and I know this, but like I happen to follow Twitter and I have 40,000 Instagram, and I use my influence particularly to be political for social justice. I'm very, very big on allyship and supporting marginalized communities. There are people who are struggling. Students are struggling, immigrants are struggling, women are struggling, LGBTQ are struggling, trans people are struggling, small business owners are struggling, like the disabled, the elderly, children. In my mind, having had the blessing of being born and raised in Canada and having where I'm at in my life right now, to me, anything I do to use my influence, to use my power to help social justice causes, to me, that's my societal impact. And I talk about it all the time. I don't really do it much on LinkedIn. Sometimes I do, but for the most part, that's kind of where I create social impact. I talk about these things, I'm open about it, and I integrate that in everything that I do. I'm not afraid to use social media. I'm not afraid to have the trolls and the haters attack me. And I'll give you an example, actually. This is leading to my next question. On LinkedIn, not this year, but the previous year. This year, I mean, it's even harder now. But last year, during Pride Month, I did a post on allyship. But I specifically targeted people like myself. I was targeting mostly people of color, Black and brown people who come from a religious background. And so, you know, I'm Muslim and I have friends who are Christian. And I was basically saying, look, you need to be an ally to LGBTQ people. Here's why, because you know, we're all marginalized, we're all doing difficult things, and if you believe in compassion and kindness, and people who are vulnerable and going through terrible stuff, you all need to be aligned with this. And I put that video out there. I was very passionate about it. I shared that video across all the platforms. And the next day on the LinkedIn, I woke up and I also had 50,000 views. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? And then I went on there and I saw, oh God, there's a whole bunch of trolls and haters. Including someone I knew from back in my day where I grew up, saying, why are you saying these things about, you know, oh my God. And then the question became, like, do I want to go into this? Well, I intentionally decided to do that because I have a community on LinkedIn and I have influence there, so I'm going to talk about it. So I went and said, you know, let's go through this. So I went through all the comments, I deleted some, I blocked some, I reported some, but some of them I engaged. I said, well, can I ask you a question? What do you think about this? And next thing you know, 2 or 3 people said, you know, I'm really glad you opened my eyes to this because I was not coming at it in that way. I appreciate it. In my mind, so the social impact of just even convincing 2 or 3 people to not necessarily come to the side, but come closer to the fence, or to come sit on the ledge with me and talk is really, really helpful. So that's kind of how I do social impact. Now, at least my other question, because if you guys have questions for the panel, you can put your hand up or whatever, I'm happy to interrupt this. But I want to get to LinkedIn because all 3 of us are pretty active on LinkedIn. So let's talk about LinkedIn. How are you using LinkedIn to build your personal brand, but also to build community?
Well, I love bringing people together. Like, that floats my boat. Like, that is something that really fills me up. And if I can connect people that can come together and create more good in the world, there's nothing more satisfying than that. So I definitely am geared towards connecting. I have a LinkedIn group that anyone can join for the Changemaker Collective. And it's focused on sharing job opportunities, but also branding. I always invite people who are also into, DEI and supporting the well-being of all of our people. And so, I share their wisdom, and I share my own, and I share opportunities, and I host events, and I have a podcast. I love interviewing people with unique stories, especially if they come from a marginalized or a diverse background. I'm really just very curious about people. I love to know, like, I'm the type of person that will ask the border agent, like, oh, tell me about your story. And the guy's just looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm very inquisitive, and I really like people, and I like to get to know people. So I find impact through getting to know people and figuring out how I can support them with my platform.
For me on LinkedIn, first I'll explain that I operate at the intersection of a few different spaces, right? And I think that can be confusing for some people when you talk about personal branding. Over the last 11 plus years of being a founder, and many more years since starting my nonprofit, I've tried to refine that, right? And every year I get a little bit better, at least I think so, in communicating that. And LinkedIn, I think, is a great place because it is something that you can curate, right? You can curate what you're saying about different issues, different topics, different organizations you support, causes, jobs, clients. But a lot of people are there, right? And so for me, I believe that I have multiple different communities, but on my LinkedIn, they get to intersect, right? I'm sure that you can both relate. One of the things that I do with the Good Growth Company is to build community, is that every week or two, we host an online session, which is a live, it's called the 10 Things series. And I bring on an expert that I curate, and they share 10 things that nonprofit or social impact organizations should know about a certain topic. Everything from finance to hiring to all different things that I don't really know anything about. And of course, I've led a couple of the sessions too. But that over time, over the last year and a half, hosting these sessions has really built a new community, a new audience. And what I find is that some of these speakers, they're all different parts of North America, and they then bring their communities into my community. And I think that's one of the best parts is the amplification and cross-pollination of different communities. And so you can choose what to highlight at what time of year. For me, when I'm teaching, sometimes I'll share stuff about what I'm teaching at OCAD or at George Brown, and that brings some students into the discussion as well, which I really love. I won't go on to more examples, but that's what I do.
And I like when you talk about events. I always tell everybody, either run an event or be part of an organization team for an event. Whether it's virtual events or whether it's in-person events. It's one of the best ways to build skills, to meet people, to build community. I think that goes a long way. And that didn't happen on LinkedIn. If you run a live stream on LinkedIn or if you run some sort of community group there. And then for me, for LinkedIn, LinkedIn's been a great thing for me. I was a native LinkedIn top voice. I'm a blue badge now, which is kind of cool. And I have all these followers. And it's built up because I've built up those followers. And you build those followers by having a clear personal brand and by being consistent with what you post about. And every single one of you can do this. And you don't have to have 55,000 followers like that on LinkedIn. You just start with the first 10, then the first 100, then 200, and that's fine. You just talk about it. If you're passionate about, let's say, chess, you want to talk about chess, you can talk about chess on LinkedIn. My rule is always 80%, 80-20. 80% of your content should be the stuff that's a target on your brand. The other 20%, talk about whatever you want. Talk about whatever you want. And that's totally fine. As long as you're consistent, people know this, you will actually build a following. The second piece of community on LinkedIn is to know which community to follow on LinkedIn, because there are people you can follow, there are groups you can be part of, there are events you can be part of, and that's how you become part of the community as well. Right? So we wouldn't have a LinkedIn local meetup without talking about LinkedIn. I want to, does anybody have any questions? Let's get the questions. Start with you. Sweetly, but really fun.
You just said something like got my attention. You said that you're very interested in ask questions about people's relationships. And normally when I feel that way, they come from a very isolated past, where they were actually on the outside of communication with people. So hearing what you're saying, it shows me that, well, the impression I get is that you're from like a really isolated, kind of outside perspective of the community, and you kind of learn and pick up things that once you look up and know, it's really cool. I can see how you kind of understand that. I just want to hear more about that.
Oh yeah, wow, that's super
Deep.
deep and very.
Oh, sorry. Can you repeat the question for people?
Yeah, so the question was, did you feel like you were from the outside, or, and maybe that got you so curious about people because maybe you didn't feel like you were connected from the inside. And that is definitely the case. So number one, I'm adopted. So I definitely always felt different than my family because I have a lovely adopted mother, but we're very different. And then I actually found my birth family when I was 30, and they're from the East Coast, so they're very different than me. And they talk about me being from Toronto and, that I'm intense and all these things. Because people from BC, because half my family's in my original family are from BC and half are from Nova Scotia. And they all are like, people from Toronto scare us. So I definitely felt like an outsider. I also grew up as a single, an only child. And I was starved and I had a single mom. So I was starved for attention. And I think that really kind of motivated me to, I didn't really have a lot of friends when I was young because I probably spent so much time by myself or with grown-ups that I found I gravitated towards adult conversations more than with kids my own age. So I moved a lot. So I definitely found that I had to find my own way and I had to be willing to share my own story with people and get comfortable with that. So that was very insightful. Thank you.
Wow.
Amazing. Sajid Kumar, your question.
It's more about the LinkedIn as a platform, right? Because on community building, and I know, Bobby, that you have diversified into other platforms because there's a challenge that because it's a corporate platform, they keep changing. Now, the recent one was that the post that is coming is not the recent post, but it could be what post you mentioned. Tomorrow you might wake up and see that is the post that is getting a lot of traction. That's what happened last week. So my question is, especially when you're building community in one platform, right? So Daniel and today also, do you think of diversifying it into different other platforms, and then how do you spend enough time to maintain all those platforms, right? Because challenge is if one platform, let's say for whatever reason, they say that okay, we don't want LinkedIn groups, and they stop LinkedIn groups, like they stop the LinkedIn only. Then what do you do? So how do you? I know Bobby has done it, but what are your thoughts on that?
I would say that you always want to have one primary platform just for capacity and attention and energy, right? LinkedIn is a great one just because you can actually very easily message people and move conversations offline. Most of the messages I have on LinkedIn end up moving over to email, especially with someone new that I'm connecting with. We're going to actually meet or work together. So that's one. The second thing is that on LinkedIn, yes, the algorithm changes, and I was looking into that example. If anyone who didn't hear, we was talking about how LinkedIn is prioritizing posts that are like 2 or 3 weeks old. There's a few reasons for that. They said that it will course correct itself a little bit more over time, but for now, chances are if you open your app right now, you might see something from a couple weeks ago. That's new, and they explained a little bit why. But most importantly, that gives content a chance, content that does resonate, it gives it a chance, right? The life cycle is a lot longer on LinkedIn than it is on other platforms. And I think that's great because it prioritizes what's actually valuable and not just something that is, trying to get quick attention because it's trendy or it's dramatic or it's, a piece of news, right? So it allows you to go a little bit deeper. In terms of the longevity of the platform or, kind of what happens if LinkedIn totally changes things, for the worst, I would say that it's so important to build an email list regardless of what your platform is. We all have mailing lists for our brands and our personal brands, and with my content on LinkedIn, I do use the newsletter service, the article feature, but I actually don't post my whole article, my whole newsletter on there. I actually link out to my full version, which is on Beehive, another platform. And Beehive lets you download your audience and monitor that. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I would say that the same thing. I do a lot of video because I have a podcast, and the algorithm for video is really good. So I do cross-pollinate those on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and of course, each platform has its own unique way that you should showcase it. So I'll use AI to help me to know, how I should position this video on this platform versus, LinkedIn, because they're all different. So I think I kind of invest in video and then distribute it across platforms, not at all at the same time. I wait a few days between platforms and make them different. So repurposing clips, that sort of thing. I also have a newsletter. I believe newsletters are really important. So I have a LinkedIn newsletter. I'm on Substack, so I have a Substack newsletter, and I have like a MailChimp newsletter as well. And I try to keep them simple because there's a lot of copying and pasting between platforms. And again, I don't release them all at the same time, so that just in case someone subscribes to a few, that they're not all the same.
Let me just share a few thoughts here. So first off, I believe in multi-platform strategy because we are all on rental real estate. And fun fact, a month ago I was locked out of LinkedIn. and I was freaking out because the primary business I'm building is from that platform. Not that I don't do stuff elsewhere, but the majority of my revenue comes from the contacts I have on LinkedIn. And I lucked out and with three long days. But it was, but community help. They reached out, Bobby, Rory, what's going on? I got texts and email messages. It was really great to see that. But also, I was huge on Twitter. I had over 500,000 followers, and then Elon Musk took over and wrecked a lot of what I was doing there. I've since lost over 60,000 followers since he took over, and I can't grow it anymore. I can't use the Twitter space the way I used to anymore. It's become a big problem for me. And I still have influence there. I'm still using the best I can to support marginalized groups, but it's a big challenge. And I understand the idea of the primary platform because a primary platform has a focus, but I think a primary platform should be email. That should be a primary platform. Bring everybody there. And that's one of the reasons why I'm launching stuff. You probably saw it. I set up a Substack. I'm launching a whole Substack thing in August. So I'm kind of excited about that because I think I want to build it there versus the other places. So I think that you need to be able to build on, and repurposing is like the king. I do it all the time.
One thing I'll add in general is, a lot of people will put a lot of time and effort into one platform. Some people write a lot in their Instagram captions, but it only ever lives there, right? It's not even really searchable. Although now there's rumors that the Instagram captions are searchable in Google. But what's really important is that you own this content, as Bobby kind of mentioned. And having it on a blog or a website or a newsletter allows it to have a second life or to live a lot further. One thing I would recommend is to have some type of roundup, right? So if you're posting, 10, 20, 30, or 40 posts in a month, in Bobby's case, maybe 200-300 posts in a month, I'm not sure. You want to actually take those, those top performing posts and maybe put them in a newsletter or a blog post, right? So that people can actually go and search them and there's an archive of them. And the algorithms are designed to not show you everything that Bobby posts, no matter what, right? If you're only following Bobby, then probably you'll see all your posts, but the algorithm still will suggest other people's posts in between. And so that's one way that you can kind of make your content live a lot further, is take those LinkedIn posts, especially the text posts, and save them up and do a roundup of your message.
Sorry, last thing, your personal brand, getting clear on who you are, what you're trying to do, who your target audience is, will also determine where you spend your time on things. If all your people, if your audience are people who like long form content, then you probably should have a newsletter, right? If they love videos and things like that, TikTok and Instagram are helpful. So it's important to know those things as well. You had a question, go ahead.
Hi, so I am a designer for sustainability and I work in the intersection of education, storytelling, and visual communication. So I see how personal branding is really important for me, but I struggle with it a lot because I think I don't have the right motivation for it. Am I looking for more work? Am I looking to build a community? What am I doing this for? What am I putting my energy in it for? So I wanted to understand from you, what are your motivations and if I could take any learnings from you.
Go for me.
That's a great question. I think, it's the same reason that people, don't update their resume or their LinkedIn if they're not looking for a job, right? The day is going to come that you will be looking for that job, right? And I think with LinkedIn or any other platform, it's an asset, right? You're putting more value into that. It's becoming worth more. You're building more brand equity. You're building more awareness, right? And the thing that is hard to quantify and justify is the awareness that people have of you, right? And you may run into someone after a year or two, and they might know what you're up to, right? And that's a good thing. Or someone might ask for a recommendation on someone who can design this sustainability report, and you're going to immediately be top of mind because you've shared your latest work on that, or you've shared best practices, or maybe you've shared a few posts about other sustainability reports that you didn't even work on, right? And so it's just the benefit of being top of mind, and then being able to leverage your audience when it does come time to do so, right? If in 3 or 4 years from now you decide to host an event, or run a course, or sell a book, you have that audience and that engaged audience that you've accumulated, right? But it's there when you need it, essentially. So if we're asking what our motivations are, I guess for me, I've always done it because I know that I'm working on nonprofit projects, I'm working on events, and I want to be able to actually have people show up to those things and benefit from them. So over time, I put out as much free content as I can, so that people are there and they can take advantage of the resources that I put out.
I think that it helps you to stay top of mind, and it's hard to get traction without getting yourself out there and known for something. I had the same situation happen with having an account hack. I had like 3,000 followers on Instagram, and my account got hacked, and I never got it back. I even became friends with someone who worked for Facebook, Instagram, and they tried so hard to get it back from me, but no luck. So it's important that you put your messaging out. Don't put all of it on, like, just not focus on just one platform. For me, I try to treat it like I do everything, which is with some balance. I don't want to be all the time on. So one thing I do is when I post later. I never post. I used to years ago post while I was at an event, right? So instead of engaging with everybody, I'm posting while I'm there. Now I wait. It could be a couple of days before I get to it, and sometimes that's good, right? Because everyone else is posting the day after. Why not wait for a couple of days? So I guess that's part of my strategy. Is I just see it as an opportunity to connect with others, but my mental health and well-being comes first. So there'll be times where I take a break from it, and maybe I'm not as consistent as I could be, but my mental health comes first.
Question here, and then question back, and that'll be our last, because I want to make sure you go open mic. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really fascinating what you're saying about isolation. And I wanted to ask, and this is a question as well, but when did you realize that your desire, maybe your way of looking at the world transformed from just how you observe things to a mission on healing isolation, changing people's lives through community?
I'll start if that's okay. The reason why I started my first business was because I felt so isolated. I didn't know anybody outside of the city of Mississauga. That was my first job. I stayed in that job for 15 years. I did not have a network. And I started a business because I was at home on bed rest for 3 months with my last pregnancy. And I had taken this course on social media in Ottawa for like an intensive. And this was in 2008. And they told us.
Long time ago.
Yes.
That's
Yes, a long time ago. It was this thing called LinkedIn and Twitter. I didn't know what either of those things were. And so when I was in my bed on bed rest, I taught myself how to use those platforms. And there was all these other women that, well, at the time it was women that I was connecting with because I was on maternity leave. And they were all feeling isolated. So I had a tweet up and had people who I was connecting with online meet in person. And so that really got me through postpartum depression. It got me through a lot of challenging times, was just reaching out and not being afraid to see, like, what's the worst that can happen? I host an event, no one shows up. Oh well. I guess I'm kind of at that stage in my life. I'm willing to take chances, and I see every mistake or new opportunity as a chance to grow as a human, so I don't get embarrassed that much anymore.
I'll just add something that answers kind of her question as well as your question, which is, my last job was in corporate, and I remember we were trying to start a family, we were having trouble having kids, I didn't know what was wrong, and then I had a panic attack in January. Don't know what happened, and it kind of threw me off. I was embarrassed by it. And then I went to the doctor, and then I'm so busy with work, working 80 hours a week, that I didn't go back to the doctor for months. And then in March I went back again, they're like, something's wrong, Bobby, you check something. Oh, okay, what? And I got another test, I said, okay, you have diabetes, your blood sugar is through the Normal blood sugar 6.2. In December it's 12. Now it's 16. You need to like get this under control. That's why you're so tired. That's why you have a panic attack. That's why everything's falling apart. So I went to my manager and I said, I need to take 2 weeks off work. I need to scale back my crazy 80 hours to something normal, which at the time I said was 50 hours. Go figure. And 3 weeks later, they gave me a package. Get out of here. And that was the moment. I was like, wow. I was like, they don't care. They don't care. Like that was my fourth career. I spent so much time trying to fit the square body into round holes everywhere, and I wasn't fitting in. That was my fourth career. And is that my fault?
No.
Okay. So I tried really hard, and that really. So then when I worked my personal brand, the thing that motivates me is my why statement, because I was feeling lost. I was feeling stuck. My why statement is that they're lost, stuck, and unfulfilled leaders everywhere. What that means, everywhere I go, I need people who feel lost in their career, stuck in their job, unfulfilled in their work. And so I do everything I can, including this stuff and all my work, to try to make people find clarity, purpose, and direction. That includes me being a speaker, me being a coach, me being a father of 2 kids, me being a son to aging parents. It drives me wherever I go, and I don't feel so alone anymore. Question at the back. Go ahead. Last question.
Hi, Brent Edwards. I'm with Brent Canada Experiences. I support newcomers with professional networking. My question for the panel is related to online versus in-person events. We're post-pandemic now for a couple of years. What trends are you seeing both in the GTA and other parts of Canada related to attendance and signups versus people actually showing up at in-person events versus online events that you host?
I'll start. So I run a lot of online events. I run a lot of in-person events. It's hard. I mean, it's really, really much harder than it used to be. You know, we did the DYPB conference, and you know, at our max, we had 330 people show up. When we did the LinkedIn Locals before the pandemic, we had as many 200 plus show up. It's really hard to even get 80 people to show up. There's so much out there. There's so little trust of some of the things that are out there, and even virtually trying to get people to a virtual event, whether it's free or paid, is very difficult. So I find it really, really hard to do so. Like, you know, you try to be consistent, you try to show up, but you know, like every, not that I don't want to like sound like I'm a broken record, but every time I do a LinkedIn local meetup, I keep saying we'd love to have a team of people running these events, because at some point the body's going to get too old, the gray hairs are going to fall out, and I can't do it anymore. But I'm hoping other people can take over, right? We've done 29 of them, but we haven't built the momentum to have a sustainable team to do it. So today, for example, I was here first, and I started putting chairs together, and I started putting this thing together, and then some people showed up, and I basically made them work for me. Like, you showed up, and other people they showed up, they helped me set up the chairs, because that's where I'm at right now. So it's really hard. I find events really, really hard. But you know, again, you have to find a way to, you know, break through the clutter, tell those stories, and build the communities, because the communities will cross promote and help each other out. That's my take.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for collaborations when it comes to events, right? There you go. Bringing different communities together that have shared, you know, interests. I think that's really important to kind of counteract what Bobby's mentioning, the drop in, you know, in-person attendance in general. This is different, you know, whether it's paid, whether it's you know, something that you get sent to from work, right? Corporate. A lot of conferences are seeing, you know, declines in sponsorship because of cutbacks in those types of budgets as well. So they're not sending as many people. You know, conferences that used to be $1,200 plus, you see the discounts, you see the price on the website, right? So I think that's a factor, but I think people are investing more in longer term things like memberships and being part of an ongoing community for a year, as opposed to, you know, just come to this one-off event. And that's helpful. You can really build the community, get more value for it that way. Or events that are, you know, a conference, you get access to the resources for X amount of time as well. So it's moving to the hybrid model where it's recorded, you have the archive, you can watch that later. For the free sessions that I host online for Good Growth, I would say probably about 30 to 40% of the people that register for those actually show up. Some of them it's higher. For in-person events, I've only done one so far with Good Growth. We had 50-something people registered, 30-something were there, which was pretty good for a first-time event, I would say. But again, it's a free event, right? So the odds are different when it's a paid event, of course. I think people wait, like Bobby always mentions, a lot of people wait till the last minute to purchase their tickets. And that just shows you as well that people are waiting on other factors, right? How busy they are, how stressed they feel that day, if they're in office that day or not, right? You wouldn't come to this if you weren't working in Toronto today. That's a factor that I'm seeing. I don't believe you guys.
Yeah, I think you're right about membership communities. Depending on what they are, I think they have to be very niche. So there are communities out there that support. Substack has a lot of very active communities, and there are organizations out there, like I'm a part of one called the Luckiest Club, and it's for people that are in recovery, and that is online, but you see people who are meeting up. It was really cute. I was on a meeting on Sunday, and there were like 4 people that were all in the room together, and I guess they just decided that they wanted to meet in person. So some really good, tight-knit communities that support each other with multiple meetings a week do from time to time meet up in person. Also for online events, I think that you have to plan out at least 6 weeks in advance. You can't just, like if you do it like a couple weeks in advance, you'll probably have 5 people show up. Like the last online event I had over 100 people registered, but only 30 people showed up. And again, it's free and it's online. And a lot of people like, I want the recording, I want the resources, but they didn't actually show up live.
All right, so thanks so much for that, guys.
Thank you for the candor and the transparency.
No problem. We're happy to do that. So I know we have the open mic now, and I know people sing for a while, so I'm going to ask you all, just everyone to stand up for a second. Stand up, take a fresh break. And while you're standing up, please give an applause to our wonderful panel here. What innovation! What the all right. Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay, great. And now grab a seat. All right, thanks, panelists. So I'm gonna do it. So we're gonna do the open mic. What this means is you can come up, and if anybody wants to share something, you can share something. You can ask a question. You can give feedback. You can share a nugget. You can tell us a picture of references as a brand. And this is basically first come, first serve. So if people want to line up there, you can. And we can for everybody, but if you're interested, you can. You're first because you told me you could. So you did like come over here and first get some recording. There you go. We're still live streaming. So that's going to be
Oh, your folio is almost dying. You may want to turn it off.
All right. Maybe we turn it off with the open mic. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Good. I accept someone first. Okay, here you go. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chantel, and I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that and ask for your help as well. So, you know how a Band-Aid is beige, typically? Yeah. Okay. Well, that is for European skin tones. I created a line of skin tone intimates that represented all skin tone colors, because the color nude, which was typically defined as beige, is not the whole picture. Nude is aware of my skin tone, your skin tone, your skin tone, and there wasn't enough products that represented color. So I was the first in Canada to create a skin tone intimates line. I was on Dragon's Den, and a lot of press about it. And eventually, I burned out because it took a emotional toll, and I became very depressed by being. Anyway, I always said that the products that I created, I wasn't a lingerie company. The products I created were a vehicle to self-love. That's what it was about. I wanted underrepresented and people to really recognize their own beauty, believe in that, no matter what their skin tone color was. And now I've kind of navigated into also the wellness spaces and mental health because I struggle with as well. Being an entrepreneur can really break you down. And it's a chance for you to build back up. And what I'm asking for now, connected to why I did what I did with my business, is I want to also help Gen X women who are who feel unseen, unheard, and are asking themselves at this point in their life, is this all there is? I want to help create a sacred space, a community for them, based on my experience and what I've been through. So, if you know any Gen X women who are tired, who want more, who are wondering, is this all there is? I'm raising my hand here too. Please come and see me because I want to share something with that group of women. And my LinkedIn, if you will want to connect with me and for the camera, is Chantal Carter, CHANTAL CARTER on LinkedIn. And so thank you so much.
That's great. Hi everyone, my name is Amber Yakachik and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Good Deeds. So just like our topic today, I've created an entire ecosystem where people are rewarded for doing good. So the more good you do on our platform, whether it's volunteering or donating to a cause or just donating goods or services, you earn these rewards and then you use them in the marketplace. So in our marketplace, we have people donating goods from small businesses to, we're trying to get a partnership with Expedia so that we can actually start using some of these rewards to book travel and book accommodations and just make it more advantageous. And I created this platform because I really did want to make the world a better place where people could actually just enjoy each other and do good and it also be rewarding and keep that cycle of goodness going. Yes. So I hope you all join us.
I got the mic now, so unless Bobby tackles me, I can say whatever I want. Who here agrees that human beings are social creatures? Raise a hand. Everybody? Basically everybody? Yeah, there we go. So I guess my question is then, why is it that with technology, which is supposed to connect all of us, we feel more isolated and alone and stressed and anxious and worried than ever? It is normal. What I've noticed is people crave connection. And it's not connection over LinkedIn online, although it is a medium to find the right people. It's in person, personal. And if you don't get that personal connection, you feel like you're missing out on the world. You're missing out on your life. You're observing your own life. And there's real pain behind that. And one thing that I've noticed, and it's cool because I feel like this whole path has truly changed my life, is bringing people together heals more than just yourself. I came with a group of friends. We started a community group called Playmore, which it started out as a co-working space where people come together and they work on passion projects. Things that they just always wanted to do. This is work called autopilot. It means do for the sake of itself. It's not really about the money. It's simply because it's something in your heart that you wanted to do for no one else but you. And people started talking and connecting and asking questions about, hey, what do you want to do with your life? Are you happy with what you're doing right now? And if not, why? And through these conversations, we've seen change in people, like a real, honest, genuine transformation in the people that have come to these events. And it's kind of why I was asking Lee about permission, because we are not entrepreneurs. I think it's the most anti-business community that could exist, because it's really not about business. It's from your heart. What do you want to do, and how can we help you get there? And I guess my question, this is rhetorical, but think about it, is what do you want to do with your life? Honestly, truly. And if you can ask yourself and figure that out, why not ask the people around you and encourage them to build a life that they're actually happy with, that they actually want, that they can live, not survive and exist and make money every day just to eat, sleep, and die and do nothing else.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love the reminder that 60 seconds, okay? Because otherwise, we would hate to cut off somewhere in the middle here, right? So let's try to make sure everyone has a chance to speak. All right.
Hello, I'm Tyler, and I have one question, like crayon, with your friend. So, who here loves a good story? Raise your hand. Exactly, who doesn't? So, I want to tell you a story of a filming. This is a very beautiful story. So, you have a great story, you have a great script. So, you decide, I'm going to do something though. I'm going to put it to the screen. So you put it to the screen, but what's it take? You have to throw everything into it. Your brain, your past, the loves of your life, your money. Yeah, we all know the money. And you put it on there, the screen like that. But guess what happens 99% of the time? It goes nowhere. There's no views, there's no exposure. It's the unfortunate thing of the world. But that's the story for now. Quick Slate rewrites the story. Our first event at UFT in 3 weeks gives an affordable opportunity for filming, for creators, for beginners. If you have a phone, you can be in each part of this town. To make a film in 48 hours, to meet new people, to collaborate with them. And everyone, and I mean everyone, participates in the challenge. You get exposure. We ask, what do you want to do? What are you doing right now? Where can we find your Instagram, your TikTok, or your whatever? You know the drill. Everyone gets it, even volunteers. And that's what we do. We want to provide low-cost, affordable opportunities for filmmakers to get that head start, to get that exposure, to get actual numbers on their videos, on their films. And if you're interested in helping some filmmakers, helping some storytellers, seeing some cool things on that screen, then come to us. Quick Slate. Thank you.
Way shorter than 60 seconds. Yeah, so my name is Micah Adler, and I'm a founder for Anyone Can Fundraise. And actually, today was supposed to be a pitch day for an accelerator, but I kind of chickened out. So I chickened out is a little bit much. It was for products to sell, like get funding, and like my company is not really looking for funding. But anyway, so I am the founder of Anyone Can Fundraise. And we have impact playbooks that we're giving away free to nonprofits. So I serve nonprofits and help them to fundraise, collect data and connect data and use AI and automation to make sure that they can help move their, nonprofits forward. And yeah, if you want to connect with me, my name is Micah Adler, and my company is Anyone Can Fundraise. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Kim, and I'm Melinda, and we are co-founders of a community called My Creative Break, and we are from Montreal, Canada. Anybody else from Montreal? Yeah! So awesome. So we are a community that focuses on connection. We connect people through fun and meaningful ways, and we do that through team building and events like networking events, creative events, social events, and recently singles events.
Yes, and one of our specialty is taking the awkwardness out of networking because it is awkward, and especially people like us. For me, I'm a shy person, like even though I'm here now, but it took me a while to get like comfortable with being comfortable. And we want to take this awkwardness out of all the events that we're doing, and we make sure that we are bringing, you're bringing icebreakers, you're doing fun games, you're having a good time, and you're not there in the corner. Sometimes you're just like, oh, I wish. We make sure that we take all the awkwardness out of it.
So much more to connection, like, hi, how are you? There's so many ways we can connect, and we take you into like this journey of like connecting creatively, meaningfully, and being part of our community.
Yes, so we've been in Toronto the past few days. We had a couple of events, and tomorrow we have an entrepreneurs and professional event, and we invite you to come to join us. So it's going to be tomorrow at 7 p.m. at the Pilot. So if you're interested, you can have more information. You can follow us on at My Creative Break. We're on all social media, so you can find out. Yes.
Should we have time to talk about that? Sure.
Yes, we'd love to talk together.
Hi everyone, so I'm Oshini. Can I know how many other international students who came as international students here? Okay, so I came as an international student back in 2023. I'm originally from Sri Lanka. I'm from Spain, but I'm from Sri Lanka. So I am not here to preach because I don't have exact idea of preaching because I have a lot of ideas. What my main thing is, I've been volunteering with United Nations back in Sri Lanka, and I've been with embassies and events with diplomats. I'm too young to think ideas. I'm 24. Like get all the ideas together. My main point, I am an international student counselor right now, to be, and then I'm going sooner to domestic recruitment, like to get an idea. My idea, I don't like 8 to 5, so I want my business, but I'm just collecting things I don't want to be, like it won't be non-profit, but I don't want, I'm over with these all the agencies, which is like misleading people literally, and they're students. I mean, I was a student, I am still a student, but I was like when I was 16, I was thinking, okay, I should do this. I don't have millions of ideas. So yes, AI is there now, you can talk to AI, but still I feel like there should be like real life examples. If I can make like an app, like okay, this is Canada, and then she did this business, and where she is now. There are so many people, like I would love to make a review. It's like a Google review. Like I would love to make a review. It's not someone like, okay, I'm an agency, you are telling from Sri Lanka, like if you go here, you can do this. I'm like, oh hi, did you go there? And you're still struggling to go out. So I don't know, I'm maybe still like immature to this business world, I guess.